Welcome everybody to Coffee with Sledge. My name is the Metalhead Maniac Sledge, and if you're new here, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, like, and share. My guest this week is a stand-up comedian on the rise, and we get into a pretty good conversation of the difference between professional wrestling and stand-up comedy. And this guy is absolutely hilarious. His name is Chris Flail. I went to a stand-up comedy. We'll get into it. Kick back, relax, grab your cup of coffee, and enjoy my conversation with Chris Flail right now. I gotta hang out.
Take a load off.
Take a load off.
I
gotta fix my microphone because it's fucking broken for some reason.
Oh, is that right?
No, I don't know.
I was gonna say, it's nice for you to take a load off. You made me feel lazy the last 10 minutes showing me the studio setup here.
It's not that bad.
It's pretty good.
It's all right.
It's pretty well set up. I've been doing podcasts and stuff for 5 or 6 years and never got any of this stuff taken care of.
Do you do your own podcast?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
So I've got one. It's called The Bomb Diaries, where I'll talk to Diaries. Yeah, it's a Hunter S. Thompson playoff of The Rum Diary.
Yeah.
And so I'll talk to mostly comedians, but also some musicians. Would love to talk to wrestlers about kind of the craziest, the underbelly of what you do. You know, like for comedians, people see Netflix and they go, oh, that's what comedy is. But then you go, I was at a bar where they had to turn off the World Series and I almost got shot and nobody would listen to me. Like that kind of talk about that stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome though.
Yeah, I need to get it going again. It's been about a year since I've been slacking.
Well, I started Coffee with Sledge with during the pandemic.
Oh, nice.
It was just something I did on Twitch.
Nice.
That's how I got into Twitch. Gotcha. I was like, man, I got to do interviews. I want to do interviews. I want to talk to people and just And I know so many people that it was just like, why not reach out to these people? Because all we're doing is sitting at home doing fuck all anyway.
Everybody's waiting for it.
Yeah. So
and people would love to hear from your Rolodex.
And then next thing you know, like I was like, man, I'm going to start playing games, and the game thing wasn't working. And then I started watching wrestling because people wanted, become a wrestler, and people wanted my take on pro wrestling. So I was like, okay, let's just do pro wrestling. Yeah. And fascinating.
No matter when you grew up, it's fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah. It's always, I got to imagine, does it ever get tiring for you? Because anybody you meet has to want to sit you down and go, okay, let's talk about whatever.
No, because I love it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of like with you with comedy.
Yeah.
People probably sit you down and be like, let's talk.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite comic and why?
And similar worlds for some reason. I don't know. Maybe the underbelly is so much.
It's because they're all carnies.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be honest, we're all fucking carnies.
That's right.
We all are hustlers.
That's right. We're hustlers, and we're a traveling freak show that kind of blows through your town and does whatever it is.
It does whatever. And I saw you in Lompoc originally, man,
so cool.
And your shit was hilarious.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, man.
I was like, I gotta have this guy on my podcast because he's fucking funny.
Well, I gotta tell you, it was really nice to see you guys there because, it was the first comedy show they had done in that venue.
Ever.
First one they had ever done. And it was run by a former promoter of professional wrestling shows?
Yeah. So I'm actually fairly close to the family.
Yeah.
And I actually used to run a wrestling school out of that place before it was open.
Get out.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I've known the family for years. And the owner, I guess you'd be the owner, is my attorney.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so
it's a good setup.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, it's okay.
So, in that show, the audience was really good, but it was kind of like, because it was the first show, it was kind of like 3 or 4 audiences. Like the first 2 rows were all 20-year-old college kids. And then the second 2 rows were kind of like older couples that were just going for a night out. And then I'm looking throughout the room and I see there's this table of just giants. Giants. Yeah. And just from being through enough of these shows, I'm like, I hope they like what's about to happen right now because it's their room. Right. Whatever happens. And you guys were the best.
I love comedy. Like, I'll sit there and watch Netflix and just put on a comedy special.
Just let it roll.
Yeah, because what's better than laughing?
Yeah, which is so funny because I spent my pandemic seriously getting myself worked up and emotional watching wrestling entrance pops.
Really?
Oh yeah. When it was like that 1.5 part of the pandemic where you hadn't been out and you're just kind of looking for something.
Yeah.
I would watch. I would watch the top 10 pops, and then I go, those can't be the best. And then I'd go find my own. So I'd go find Jericho when he first came to WWE, and then I went, all right, well, let's see Jericho when he goes to AEW, and let's see each individual one. And
what's crazy is you're a huge wrestling fan.
I love wrestling. I mean, I would embarrass myself to say I'm a huge wrestling fan in front of you, but as a casual, I'm a huge wrestling fan.
No, that's awesome. Like I'm a huge comedy fan. The question is though, is like, when did you realize that you were funny? Because that's when I realized that, man, I could actually do this as a career and actually be a professional wrestler and go around the world and do what I love. It was when I decided to get my ass off the couch and actually go after it. Little help, little motivation, but when did you realize that, like, I should really try to give this comedy thing a go?
I always kind of gravitated towards. So I grew up in a real small town in Pennsylvania. I was kind of like a runty, kind of little dorky kid that could kind of hang out with the cool kids because I was funny, and played a little bit of sports and stuff like that, and could make those kids laugh. And then went to college, and I remember at college there was a guy there who I heard was doing stand-up comedy, and this is in central Pennsylvania, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And then finally I went to law school, and it was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and my second year they had a comedy club there. I'd never been in a town with a comedy club, and so I would just go every week, and I'd see road acts, like I used to watch Netflix, but then I would see just a dude who lives in San Antonio whose whole act is he's got a cowboy hat and he's gonna road stuff. And I was like, I can do it. And they had an open mic there, and I was like, I'm gonna give this thing a shot. And then I realized how terrifying that was. But I just, for some reason, as a kid, the same thing as you, get my ass off the couch. As a kid, it never occurred to me. I would watch the HBO stuff, and I'd watch Carlin, and it would never occur to me that there was a road to try it. I just felt like these guys were just anointed comedians or something like that.
Right.
And then when I was in a town where I found out, oh, you could practice, and if you do well, you can get on a show, and if you do well, you can get this and get that. I was like, well, I was so nervous the first every gig I went to or mic I went to, I would drive there going, I hope they bust a water main and I don't have to do this. I hope to God I don't have to do this. But in the back of my brain, I just always had this thing that was like, I really want to be a comedian. If I want to, I have to get through this. And eventually it became the opposite, where I'm irritable if I'm not on stage.
It's kind of the same thing with me with pro wrestling. Like when I first started pro wrestling, you always have those jitters. You have those, oh man, do I really want to do this? Crap. But then now it's like, I have to be.
So how old were you when you got started? When you got your start?
When I first got I got late in the game, man. I was 25. When I got my start in pro wrestling.
Now, were you a former athlete? Or
I wrestled, former mixed martial artist.
Okay.
Nice. Former high school wrestler. All that.
The whole deal. You were ready to dive in.
I was bro to bro.
Love it. Love it.
If you looked up bro in the dictionary, you saw me.
Yeah.
I think you still kind of see me. I'm still a little bro.
Maybe that's why we vibe so quickly, so fast. Is mean looking teddy bears. It's just like.
For sure.
I don't know why my girlfriend has started just taking videos of my resting face, and I don't realize how angry and mean I look all the time because I feel like a sunny disposition. But I just look like I'm really locked in all the time. So maybe that's why. That's why we hit it off quick.
It was awesome, man. When I saw you on stage, and I was like, you were the funniest. Like, there was some good comedians. There was, and you could tell like some of them that's been a little seasoned, but then you get like that main eventer that come out that has been seasoned, who has kind of been through the trenches a little bit, who knows how to work a room, because that's what it's about, is working a room. Same thing with pro wrestling. When you get in the ring, that's your stage. Work the room. Right? When did you realize that you could actually work the room, though?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So when I started, I had a couple bits that would be okay, like kind of right off the bat. So my first bit was just terrible.
Did you ever have that bit where you're just like, I'm never doing that shit again?
Oh, it happens all the time.
All the time?
It happens all the time. It just happened last week where I had this whole bit where, like, on the notepad, I really impressed myself. I thought I was so clever, and I was like, this is the kind of stuff I want to do from now on, and it's got wavelengths to it, and it's this and that. I took it up on stage 3 times. Every single time the crowd just looked at me like, this sucks, get it out. And so I'm like, all right, I'll just sit that down for 6 months and see if something more simplistic comes out of it. So that happens to this day.
Oh man, the crickets.
Yeah, so my first bit was like that, but my second bit was pretty good, and then I had some other stuff. Pretty quickly I got it 10 minutes together, but I listened to a recording of myself and I sounded like I was dead, like I was really monotone and all that. And it probably took another 2 years after that before I could start to be myself on stage, and then got to the point where I was really working eye contact and all that stuff. And for the longest time, I had a tough go of it in big rooms. So if there was a room that went back really far with a high ceiling and all that stuff, I would struggle because I was more comfortable in rooms where you're on top of people.
Yeah.
And right where I got to the point where I was like, all right, I can walk in, and if I'm in a big banquet hall, I know how to, if the night is right, I know how to suck you in like it's a small room. I was like, all right, we can do this.
Because that's what it's all about, is like bringing them in for that experience, especially the people in the very back who paid the $5 for the ticket or whatever it is. You know, you want to make them part of the show.
Yeah.
You know, as much as you possibly can.
What's the scary one for you? Is it doing a small venue VFW, or is it doing the giant?
See, I've done
arena
I've done arenas.
Sized. What's the scary one?
Probably, maybe the VFW. I would say
that's how it is for us too.
Just because it's just so intimate.
Yes.
And you have to. It's more of like when you're in an arena.
Yeah.
And I'll slip a little kayfabe here. You know, we're communicating in the ring.
Yes.
When you're in a VFW and you have 100 people, 50 people, whatever it is, you can't communicate that much.
Oh, silent snap count.
Yeah, because you don't want to give away what, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of it's done by feel. And
if they're in a VFW, they're probably really deep in the world. So they're looking for any tip they can.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I never even thought of that.
Yeah. So it's a lot easier to speak a little bit louder when you're in arenas.
Yeah.
When you're in 500 to 1,000 to, 26 to 5,000, whatever it is, it's a lot easier to speak clearly.
Sure.
And, instead of having to go and really whisper in somebody's ear and they go, huh?
Yeah, that's how it is for us too. It's so much easier for me to do a room that has 400 people in it than to do a room that's got 12.
Because what if you bomb? You're like,
what if I bomb?
Yeah.
I can't use the rest of the room to force you to be won over.
Right.
You kind of dictate how this night goes, and there's no, like you said, you can't talk to each other. There's no fluff.
Yeah.
There's going to be no dance moves because it doesn't make, if there's 8 of us in the room, it doesn't make sense for me to do the gimmicky thing that just, I've got to be locked in the moment conversational with you.
Right.
It's a whole other deal.
And you've probably had to call it on the fly sometimes too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where we've done, same thing in pro wrestling, you have to call it on the fly sometimes. If something doesn't work, you got to be like, oh, like you could be walking out and be a babyface 1 minute, and they're booing the hell out of you, and you put something in the back together. You got to go back out there and you got to change it all completely around because the guy's getting cheered and you're getting booed. Wow. It's like, yeah, switch it.
So is there, like, to be a pro in the wrestling world, is there a Rolodex of a certain number of moves or how to put a story together in the ring that you better know how to do or don't? And how long does it take to get there?
It's so different nowadays with pro wrestling, especially with now it's not about the stories anymore.
Yeah.
It's more about who can do the coolest move.
Really?
Yeah. And I hate that.
Yeah, it sucks.
I hate it with passion.
It's not collaborative.
It's not, because I'm very big into storytelling.
Yes.
I'm very big into storytelling in the ring. Let's tell a story. Let's take the audience on the roller coaster.
Sure.
Same thing with you. You want to take them on a roller coaster, right? You want to bring them down. You want to bring them up. You want to bring them down. You want to bring them up.
That's right.
And that's what I love about pro wrestling. And the more higher up you get in the rankings, I guess would be the best way to put it, or the higher up with the better bookings and when you get to television and stuff like that, is the television companies want you to tell stories.
Yeah.
we're big storytellers. That's what we do. We tell stories with our bodies.
That's how you sell an event.
That's how
3
we
months
sell
from now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And now all on the indies is like who can do the coolest flippy super niner
For
gainer.
TikTok.
Yeah, for TikTok and get that cool flashy, and I can't stand it. I really can't. Like I go, okay, that's cool. How are you going to go higher though?
Yeah.
How do you go higher than that?
Yeah. What happens after that? If that doesn't end the match,
Yes.
now what?
Now what?
There are some parallels to that in the comedy world in 2 ways. Number one, everything's becoming more digitized, which is great. But to me, I'm more of a purist in that regard as well, where I would rather not do just the surface level, shallow, what gets eyeballs.
Yeah.
Look at it, just an 8-second video that goes, look at this guy's shirt, and then or whatever that is. And then there's comedy's switching to a lot more of like, what's this spectacle, almost as though we're concert musicians, and that doesn't make sense for us. So you'll see these comics are coming out and they've got fireworks shows, and they're coming out with basically like t-shirt guns and it's just this whole spectacle that will, for the ones that get big, it'll get 12,000 people to come out to see you. But we just went out to see John Mulaney at the start of this year, and it was at the LA Forum.
Yeah.
If you went to go see, maybe if you went to see a wrestling match in the LA Forum, it would be incredible.
Right.
But we went to go watch one guy talk into a microphone, and we had relatively decent seats for the Forum, and couldn't see him at all. Basically 18,500 of us just watched a TV screen together.
I could be doing this at home.
And so I get it. I get the money play of it, and I get the big whatever. But the spectacle is starting to take over the art form a little bit. And
you think it's due to like the bigger comments, kind of like Kevin Hart and maybe Burt Kesher and all these guys that are really doing these bigger things out there,
right?
So, and doing these big stadium tours,
And it makes sense. I can understand how if you can fill a stadium, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
But when you get to that point, there's something they always talk about. Like they always talk about like when a blues musician gets big, it kind of defeats what created the art. It's kind of that same. If you're a comedian and there's 25,000 people there to see you, and when you tell a joke, it takes 11 seconds for the punchline to roll to the back of the room to get a laughter, if they hear it at all. How are you going to put a callback or some long wavelength thing 42 minutes into your act? It just kind of it turns everybody into Bon Jovi, which is great, but you ain't gonna be Bob Dylan in that kind of deal.
You're living on a prayer, brother.
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
punchline, baby.
That's coffee with Sledge.
That's coffee with Sledge right there,
and
baby.
tea with Chris. And tea with Chris.
He's stealing my gimmick. Mm-hmm. There it is.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, dude.
I stepped on it.
We'll just put you under Sledge Incorporated. It's fine, dude. No problem. We'll get it all.
All this is licensed to Sledge.
That's it. Have you ever had that heckler though? That one in the front row that just won't shut the fuck up.
Always.
And you're just like, oh my god, dude! If you don't shut up, I'm gonna pull you on stage. I'm gonna hit you with my microphone upside the fucking head. I'm gonna wrap around your fucking throat, and I'm gonna throw you off the fucking stage.
I've had to really scale myself back on that because I'm a bro at heart, and I've had too many occasions where I'd have that instinct and I'd fire back, and then we get to the point where there's a fight might happen.
Yeah.
There was one night where like 40 guys tried to fight me.
No.
Oh yeah.
Tell me. Give me the rundown.
So
that sounds great.
Yeah. So you'll love this. So there was a new comic that a whole bunch of people had come out to see, but they were really rowdy, and after he would get off, they would heckle and like ruin the whole show. And there were these two kind of big, but just stocky and just kind of like whatever guys, and they were there with their dates, and they were really interrupting the show a lot. And I told them they had jobber bodies, actually.
Oh no!
and then I just started kind of going in on them a little bit, and I guess because their dates were with them after the show, they came up to me and were kind of John, but they didn't want a problem. They were just John to save face, and we just kind of jawed back a little bit, and then two of their friends came up to their side, and so now there's four of them. So I'm like, now I'm fight or flight. I'm like, now I'm starting to lean in a little more, and then 5 more, and then 10 more.
Oh no!
And then the one guy of their group who really was a problem comes over, and now he's got it, and it just turned into this whole. And that was kind of the moment that I realized, like, even if I win this thing, if I turn whatever's going on here into a fight, comedy's over in this venue.
Yeah,
they're not going to book us ever again.
Right.
So I got to figure out how to do the dance and walk the tightrope of smashing the heckler might not be the best thing right now.
Yeah,
and
like, brother, it was a joke. Yeah, brother.
And you run into a lot with hecklers where after the show they'll come up and go, I love comedy. I was helping the show, right? And
you're like, yeah, brother. Yeah, sure you
Is
were.
there a version of a wrestling heckler?
Oh, yeah.
What goes on?
Yeah, it's one of those where they think that they're part of the show. And the thing is, though, is in the world of professional wrestling, if the place is professional, which this doesn't happen nearly at all, they have guardrails.
Okay.
The minute you step over that guardrail, you're fair
game.
You're fair game.
Fair game. Travis Brown style.
Yeah. On top of that, if you decide to get into that ring, you are fair game. I don't care.
Did you ever have to put on one?
I have not had to put hands on somebody.
Okay.
I have had, I've had beer thrown at me.
Oh, wow.
I've had pizza thrown at me. I've had a girl cry because I made fun of her.
Look, if you could see the delight I just saw in your eyes when you were about to tell me what it was. Come on, we got to get into this.
I felt bad.
We got to get. What did you do?
It
What
was
did you
a guy
talk
in a
about?
wheelchair. It was so easy. It was easy.
All right, what was the line?
Shut up, woman, or you'll end up like your boyfriend. Something like that, and she got so mad, and she was throwing beer at me, and she was throwing pizza. I mean, this is in Denver, Colorado.
Nice.
And at his beer venue, it was great. And I mean, to the point of, like, she went to the manager and, like, complained about me because apparently, I think it wasn't her boyfriend, it was her brother. Her brother got into a snowing accident and, like, shattered his back.
Oh, no.
Right?
Yeah.
And she brought him to this pro wrestling show because he's a big pro wrestling fan.
Sure.
And then here I am talking shit to him because about
he should love.
Which he loved it.
I bet.
He loved it.
Yeah.
It was her.
Right.
Who was mascara running down her face from tears.
Yeah.
Like angry. Like, you should be ashamed of yourself. I can't believe you call yourself a professional. Yeah. I'm like, look at you.
Look at you. I'm the ultimate professional.
Yeah, look at you. Yeah. You're as angry as anybody can be. I did my job.
Yeah.
I'm literally getting ready to be thrown out of the venue because of you.
Have you ever left a movie feeling like this about the villain?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
I did a good job tonight.
A great job.
Yeah.
And the promoter came up to me, who's a buddy of mine. He's like, hey man, like, can we smooth this over? Because, like, we really like this video, right? And I'm like, yeah. So I went out there and I talked to him, and I was like, hey, it was all part of the show. It was all part of the, I gave him, like, a free T-shirt and, like, an 8x10. And
sure.
Like, the dude was super cool, man. He's like, oh, I loved it. Like, he goes, he was in.
That's the best.
And I talked to him about it, and I was like, well, what happened? He's like, I was in a snowboarding accident, and, like, I broke my back to the point of, like, I'm paralyzed from the waist down.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm like, wow, now I really feel like shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I've had that. I've had I've been slapped before. I've had so I don't know if you're aware of a company in Oakland called Hood Slam.
No.
Okay, so it's a big show that was ran at the Oakland Metro, which Oakland's Metro is not there anymore.
Okay.
They would draw like 2,000 people on like a Friday night.
Wow. Okay.
And it was a 21 and over show.
Nice.
And people are smoking weed and drinking.
It's a party.
Yeah, it's a party, right? And there's people are dressed up like Mortal Kombat. Like, it was like you would see Kane versus Ryu in a ring, right?
Oh, wow.
It was fucking nuts, right?
Yeah.
I did Kano a couple times, and
wow.
They had us booked as this futuristic people from the future, and we came out of this blow up swimming pool that was the middle was cut out. It was weird. It was fucking. Anyway, I'm in the back doing squats.
Okay.
I'm trying to warm up my legs.
Getting ready, yeah.
Right? My pants split.
Yeah.
Right before I walk out.
Nice.
And
nice.
And there's no guard.
The old sledgehammer's popping out.
There's no guardrails. Everybody's up against the ring.
Okay.
It's a tag match. I'm on the outs. What are people doing?
Oh no.
Ripping my pants off.
Oh no. Oh no! So you get in there
so
full
I'm,
sledge.
so I'm,
in the ring.
I'm half leg just hanging out, brother. Fucking ball peen's just chilling, you know. Like, he's just doing, you know. Yeah, man. I've had that happen.
That's the best.
I've been stranded places. It's
You ever have this one? Guy brings his girlfriend to the wrestling event. Girlfriend likes the show too much. He's unhappy.
Absolutely.
With the wrestler.
Oh yeah.
That happens a lot.
Oh yeah. I tell guys all the time.
That happens at comedy shows a lot.
I tell them all the time, dude, you want to be me, but your girlfriend wants to go home with me.
Yeah. So you get to do that as part of the show.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, man. That's why I envy wrestling, because if I did that, the whole room would go, this guy's a dick.
Yeah.
This guy's supposed to be a clown.
Do you guys have like, well, what I hate this term, but we're considered ring rats, right? So they're females that go home with the comics, right? Or go home with the wrestlers. Do you guys have those kind of groupie people?
People say that we do. I mean, there will be people that hang around to meet the act.
Yeah.
But it's not as prevalent as you would think. And I think it's just people get swallowed up in a group and they just kind of start coming out.
Yeah.
And I will, comedy clans are pretty incestuous groups, and so it oftentimes doesn't take long before somebody's dated 3 or 4 people in a different. That happens.
Pro wrestling all over.
Oh yeah,
it literally is pro wrestling where one girl if she's trying to go home with one of the dudes, she's been with 3 or 4 of the other dudes.
That's always a scary. If any comedian ever asks me, I always recommend, hey, just be careful.
Just be careful.
You're gonna work with
wrap your shit.
You're gonna work. You're gonna work with each other a lot. Don't make too many enemies for things you don't need to. There's a lot of people in this world.
Oh, so you're talking about you're talking about like female performers possibly with some dudes. Is that what you're
No. Well, anything. It could be like if I've got we've got a buddy who's dating somebody and it either works out or it doesn't work out, and then another comedian's like, oh, she's cute. Let me see. I'm like, hey, you guys are gonna work together a lot.
Yeah.
What are the odds that this is your future spouse? Let's just take a few weeks and breathe before you bring someone's ex to a show.
I would be pulling out my fucking notepad and be writing jokes, man. Be like, yo, dude, go for that. Yeah,
go ahead. Happens.
Yep, I got this.
That happens. It happens even by accident occasionally. Like, this was through no fault of one of the comedians, but recently there was a comedian that brought the ex-wife of another comic on a date to a show, and she had to know.
Had to have known.
But he had no idea.
Oh no!
And the ex-husband was hosting the show, so he gets up and he waits till he gets, because he's a showman.
Yeah.
He gets up and then informs the room that my ex-wife is here with one of the comics that you'll be seeing tonight.
Oh, no.
So for weeks it was a pretty good deal.
Has there ever been like heat in the back between comics? Have you ever seen that?
Oh, all the time.
We're
comics in general are a very non-confrontational, passive-aggressive people.
I can't see you guys being fighters. I mean, Brandon Schaub, yeah, because he's a fucking fighter.
Fighter.
Yeah, he's a fighter. But like,
comedians are the antithesis of fighters. Online, they'll fight you to the death. But
I'll Twitter you, brother.
Oh, dude. You'll see comedians go hard on each other, and then they're booked on the same show, and it's, hey, what's up, man?
It's pro wrestling all over again.
You ever see that video? They've been saying it's Twitter in a nutshell. The two dogs behind a gate.
Yes.
And then as soon as the gate opens, they just kind of sniff each other.
Yep.
That's comedians.
Hell yeah.
So there's almost always heat because they're ambitious people and we're competitive people, and so name your reason for why something jumps off. But luckily in our world, it almost never bubbles over.
It doesn't really bubble over a lot in the world of pro wrestling, but it does bubble over sometimes where people get somewhat fucking heated with each other.
What are the main sources of the conflict?
Usually it's someone getting stiffed in a match. Usually.
How so?
Somebody throws a punch. Actually
real
connects.
punch.
Yeah, actually connects. I had that happen. I was filming television in LA, in Irvine, at the Improv.
Nice.
In Irvine, which is fucking awesome. Beautiful.
Yeah, really nice.
And
big.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, and the TV looked fantastic on there. Mm-hmm. And I was wrestling this guy named Big Hoss. And he's a big old dude.
Yeah.
Fucking hits me. Boom. And I go, fuck. I go, dude, do I owe you money? He's like, oh, sorry, brother. I go, okay, man, you get one.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, he throws a punch and lands right in my cheekbone. Bang. And I go, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm like, no, there's no more sorries.
Yeah. I gotta get mine back.
I gotta get mine back
now.
Yeah. So then it starts getting pretty stiff.
Yeah.
And they weren't like hard punches.
Oh, that's
it was more of like, oh shit, okay, you made contact. Okay, is this kind of where we're going?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna warn you. Like, hey, I'm okay with it. Just let me know this is where we're going.
Yeah.
Then he fucking connected again. I'm like, okay, well, this is where we're going.
Now we shoot.
Now we're going.
Yeah.
And we're fucking just rocking each other. We're beating the piss out of each other.
And whoever's filming this is like, this is great.
Dude, we got to the back and everybody was like, that was awesome. And I'm like, yeah, man, that was great.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Let's do the next scene at the hospital.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The hospital's back, you good, brother? I'm like, I'm great, man. I was like, do I owe you money?
Nice working with you,
Yeah,
Haas.
thanks. Haas.
Yeah.
Nah, he's a really good dude.
I've heard that Brock Lesnar is known for
being stiff,
hauling off in matches.
I've never it's funny because I met Brock in 2014 when he was still with WWE.
Yeah.
And I was backstage at WWE because I was on the radar when I first got in to pro wrestling. And they invited me backstage and I was backstage and I passed Brock and I look at Brock and I go, you're not that big.
Isn't that wild? Especially when you see even the MMA guys, you look at them and you go, like my brother met Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
And the first thing he said was, not the big guy. Oh, and he also met Randy Couture, and he's like, Couture just kind of looked like a tiny guy.
Yeah.
And then
I got a funny story to tell you about MMA guys.
Oh, please.
Yes.
I can't wait to hear this. Listen, again, back to what my podcast is.
Yeah.
I love Inside Baseball so much.
This has turned into your podcast more than it's
I love it.
It's fucking awesome.
You're infinitely more interesting than I. So let's do this thing.
No way. I was in Las Vegas and we were there for a UFC fight. Okay. A buddy of mine was fighting on the card and we all went out afterwards and we're all at the Spearmint Rhino at like 4 a.m.
Does it live up to the hype? I've always heard about it.
I vaguely
without
remember.
Getting yourself put on the couch.
I vaguely remember.
Yeah.
Let's just go with that. That was back in my drinking days.
That's a great man saying yes.
So it was me, a buddy of mine, Dan Henderson, and I want to say I think it was Henderson, Frank Mir. It's a crew. It was a crew.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there and we're fucking partying. We're getting on it, dude. And this girl comes over and sits on somebody's lap. I'm not going to name the name.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he's got his hand full on and just rocking her world.
Wow.
In front of everyone.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. And like, it's full on.
Middle of the rhino.
Yeah, middle of the rhino. And she's not facing
Giving the horn.
She's not facing him. She's facing the other way.
Sure.
And he's full on. He's just like, yeah. Yeah. Right? And I'm just like, fuck yeah, dude. Like,
I'm not going to try to get the name out of you, but I feel like the face just kind of told it.
Yeah.
I feel like the face kind of just told the name.
It was just like, I was just like, man, what is my life right now? This is wild.
Wow.
And I've been in a number amount of those parties
they go hard.
Yeah. Well, San Luis Obispo, where I live, one of the biggest UFC fighters in the world came from here.
Chuck Liddell.
Yes, sir. And I used to party a lot with that guy.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I knew a few people that used to, when he would tend bar, I forget where at in SLO, that they would see him there quite a bit.
He tended bar at the Grad, Bulls, and Library, from what I know of.
Nice.
Oh, and Mothers. He used to work at Mothers too.
Nice.
Yeah, and the point of him, I don't know if I should say this live on air. Well, not really live.
Come on, we got.
He opened the door like butt naked. What up? Hey, what's up, man?
Well, there's a video of him working out naked with his wife.
Well, then it's out there.
Yeah, there was a video that came out. I must have been 5-7 years ago of him and his wife full on naked, just getting in full on workout in their home gym or whatever it was.
Nothing better.
Like, that's the Iceman right there.
That's life, bro.
Yeah,
that's life.
That's the way to live. Especially if you're Chuck.
Live.
If I was Chuck Liddell, I would never put on clothes at all.
Dude, Chuck Liddell is a big dude too.
Yeah,
he's a big dude. He's like 6'3". Yeah, he's like
really?
Yeah, he's my size.
Wow,
yeah, he's a big dude.
Yeah,
yeah, and same with his brother Dan. His brother's 6'5".
I didn't even know he had a brother.
Yeah, he has a younger brother named Dan who's bigger than him.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Fighter too? Or?
He used to fight. He fought. He fought a little bit. He never got as big as his brother did.
Gotcha.
But yeah. And then there was Gan McGee, like that whole crew that we used to roll with back in the day, man.
It's amazing how much talent is out here in this Central Coast.
Yeah, man.
Area. It's a real hotbed.
It is for certain things.
Yeah.
I really hope, because I don't go out very often.
Right.
Because people look at me weird. Because
is that right?
I'm a very big human being.
And big man, big personality.
And people don't know how to take that very often. So
especially at a bar.
I don't go to bars.
I don't blame you.
Bro.
I was never into the bar scene, but I've got a brother who's about your size.
Yeah.
And the problem he would always run into is the guy who wanted to be the barroom legend would take one. And back home in a small town, if you go out to a bar 12 weeks in a row, no matter who you are, one of those weeks you're going to walk in and someone's going to decide it's your turn.
Yes.
And you could feel their eyes when you walk in, and then you decide, if I stay here 2 hours, I'm going to have to put it on them. Or I finish my drink and I leave.
Yep.
And just about everywhere he went, he was going to be the Hail Mary of the guy who wanted to be the town legend.
I've had that number amount of times.
I can't imagine.
Where I just walk in and the first thing happens is I get eyeballed and I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah.
I get very uncomfortable. I get very uncomfortable in crowded places.
Yes.
If I'm in the ring and I have thousands of people around me.
Yeah. Do you think that's a performer thing? Because I do too. And,
do you?
And it's hard to explain to somebody. It's to like, wait a minute, you're totally okay as long as they all sit in the same direction and just watch a spotlight of you talking about whatever it is that you do. I'm like, that makes me feel great. But if we all had to go to a department store together, I'd want to kill myself. Yeah. I don't know what. I hate traffic. I don't like to go shopping.
Nope.
None of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm in the same exact way.
When I go to the beach, I go to the beach from 10 a.m. to 11:30. And as soon as the lunch crowd starts to show up, I'm in the car and I'm back home.
Well, yeah, I can't do crowds. I can't. I just, I could walk out, like I said, like same with you. I could walk out in front of thousands of people. Totally fine.
Yep.
Because I guess I got my mask on. I got Sledge on.
That's
you know?
Yeah.
I got my mask on, you know? And that's me. That's my moment. That's my everything.
You've got your own space.
Yeah. You know, you put me in a Walmart.
Yeah.
I'm like a rat. I'm like a rat in a trap, dude. They're like, I'm just like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. I don't like it. I don't like it. Yeah. I was in where was I? I was somewhere the other day, and my anxiety was just skyrocketed to the point of like, I was at the Pismo outlets.
Okay.
And I have a thing about people that don't watch where they're going.
Social contract.
Yeah.
I'm a big, same thing. I was just saying this to my girlfriend. We walked out of the gym and there was somebody that was on their phone and almost walked into us. And I just wanted to take my hand and palm their face until and just go, hi, welcome, welcome back.
Hello.
Because you're big. Here's how I feel about it. Because you're big and could cause a lot of damage, you're very conscious of your space and everyone else's.
Yes.
And for me, when I see someone else not respecting, it drives me crazy because I'm like, I'm doing everything I can to avoid putting someone in a position of feeling uncomfortable.
Yes.
And if you're just a bull in a china shop, I seethe.
People that stop in front of me.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Or block doorways.
Yeah.
Because that's my exit.
And then they see you and they just keep talking. When like you're walking through a hallway, they're in the middle of the hallway. They kind of look and see you, and they turn and just keep talking.
Yeah. I want to murder somebody.
Yeah.
Murder somebody. I'm like, I literally will kill you guys right now where you guys stand if you guys don't get the fuck out of my way.
Oh, it's a disaster.
Yeah, dude.
I'm the same way in crowded spaces.
Don't put me in a farmer's market. No.
Not. I don't want any parts of it.
No.
At all.
I love long drives though.
Those are nice.
I love because I'm by myself.
Yes. Well, I've noticed I don't like other events in life that people look forward to. I didn't want to walk at either any of my graduations. Like you do it for family. But like when I graduated, I didn't want to walk like weddings for me. I'll be doing it for her.
Yeah.
Like, and all that stuff. And I was talking to another comedian buddy about it, and we kind of like the thought that we had on it is like when you're at a wedding reception, you sit and the person's walking and and it's their big day and everybody's looking. I was like, oh yeah, that's what we do every weekend.
Yeah.
They do it once in their life.
Right.
You lace up your boots, and every weekend to every other weekend, that's what you do.
Yeah.
So of course, for my graduation, I go, I don't want to go walk and get the diploma and all that, because you get to do that on such a more amplified level.
Yeah, on a bigger. We both get to do it on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
So like, Halloween's not really that big of a deal. I love Halloween.
Yeah.
I love Halloween movies. I love horror movies. I'm a big horror movie guy.
Yeah.
But people go, oh, we get to dress up. What are you going to dress up this year? I'm like, I dress up 300 days out of the year. Why do I need to dress up one day? Special one day.
I was Kane 6 weeks ago.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So like I put my gear on. You know, I'm always that guy who puts his gear on last, though.
Interesting.
I can't stand.
You don't like putting it on.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard. Sometimes so hard for me to put on.
Well, how come?
I don't know. It just is because 9 times out of 10, man. Because you know this. You're a performer. We always have to get to the show stupid fucking early.
Yeah. Yes. I tell every new comic, comedy is about 3% of what you think it is right now. 97% of it is waiting to do
fucking
that.
Hurry up and wait.
Wait.
That's it.
And the better you get, the more you wait.
Yeah, because you go on later.
You go on later.
And you have to be there when the show starts. Mm-hmm. And the show starts at 7.
Yep.
You don't go on until 10.
And because you go on later, I don't know if it's like this in the wrestling world, and because you go on later, you get booked on less shows.
Yep.
Like my first 2 years in comedy, I could get a 10-minute spot anywhere. But as soon as they book me for 25, instead of bringing me every weekend, I'm coming once every 3 months. And if they book me for 45, I'm coming once every 6 months to a year.
That's not how it is necessarily for us.
Interesting.
Yeah, usually it's usually the names are going to the main event.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I always get booked for the main event.
Cool.
And no, it's not. I want to go first. I love going first.
It's nice.
Give me first, or give me that right before intermission spot.
Well,
because then I can get my ass right out of the ring, go straight to the merch table.
Nice.
And I'm fresh in their mind.
You're good to go.
Yeah, I'm fresh in their mind.
See, a lot of times in like amateur comedy shows on where I am, a lot of times really the headliner spot is the worst spot on the lineup.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows me. So it's not like I'm a draw, like that I sell tickets. And there's going to be 5 to 7 other comedians on the show. And if a show starts at 8 p.m., the crowd got there between 7 and 7:30.
Yep.
By the time I hit the stage, it's 9:45. They've been there. They could have been there 3 hours by the time I get up to do 45 minutes in front of them, and they don't know who I am.
And do you ever listen to in the pro wrestling world? Is I watch other people's matches to make sure I don't go out there and do exactly the same thing they did.
Oh yeah.
So you probably listen to other comics while they're doing their set and going, well, I'm not going to go out there and tell the same fucking joke.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. There's like a split school of thought. There are a lot of comedians that don't, if they're on a show, they don't watch any of the stuff that happens before them. For me, that was always crazy to me. Not only you want to find out to make sure that someone's not stepping on what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But the other thing for me is, especially if it's going to be an hour and a half into the show before I go up, I want to know everything that happened so I can recap I could take my first 5 minutes to recap whatever I want to talk about as to what happened. To have, again, you don't know me. You don't have any reason to listen to me for 45 minutes. So I'm going to talk about what happened all night to get to be a part of the room. And now let's go. I've never understood that, but there are a lot of people that do it.
I don't understand
Strange.
either. Yeah, I really like watching the matches before because usually as the veteran, you know, which you probably know this because as a veteran, you probably have younger comics to come up to you and be like, hey man, can you watch my set? Let me know how, let me know. And I'm brutally honest.
You are.
I am so brutally honest.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people can't handle that.
They don't want it.
They don't want it. They want me to be like, oh, that was great. Fluff them on the butt and move it on. You know? And I go, well, you did a tope suicido in the first match, right? Or in the second match. The guy did one in the first match, so what makes yours better than his? You know what I'm saying? Like psychology-wise, you know? Oh, well, I didn't know that he was going to do that. Well, did you ask him?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, did you ask well, what are you guys doing in your match? You know, the match before. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
You know, you didn't ask them? No, you just went out there and just did your shit, right? Because now you're going to think, now you have to think, the guy after you is probably going to do the same shit. The guy after you is probably going to do the same shit. And the guy after you is probably going to do the same shit.
Right.
What makes you special? What makes you stand out?
Right. And how are you servicing the whole night? It's the hardest thing to learn when you're a new comic is if I get a 7-minute spot on a show, it feels like the most important 7 minutes that's ever existed in humanity.
Have you ever gone over time?
I'm sure I've done it.
Is there clocks down there?
No, usually you just get a light in the back.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
No,
okay.
And I've always been. It's funny. Like I've always said, there's two different kinds of comic. There's a comic that gets up there the first time, and if they've got 5 minutes, they do 2.5 and they run off. That was me. And then there's another comic that's so enamored that they're up there talking that the first time they do like 13 minutes and blow the light. And so you will have that occasionally. I always kind of trended on the other side to kind of leave it at a good stopping point and go, as opposed to just keep.
Because when you do like I've never done like I've never been to the Laugh Factory, and I've only been to the Improv just for wrestling. But when you do like the bigger venues like that, they usually have like 4 or 5 people on that night, right? And then they have
showcase style. You may even have 8 or 10 people on a lineup.
And you do 5 minutes.
You'll do usually 10, or it depends on what kind of show it is. But sometimes you could be doing just 4 to 5 minutes. Sometimes you could be doing 10 to 15s. It all varies depending on what kind of show it is.
So you probably come in with kind of I'm guessing like a blueprint of like what you're going to say that night. Like you have a show tonight.
I always so I'm going to do 45 minutes tonight. I've got a notepad with about, if the crowd liked me, about 75 minutes worth of stuff that I'll slice down from and go like, all right, let's figure out what it is. Because I always over prepare. If I'm doing 10 minutes. And sometimes I don't wind up doing anything on that set list.
Really?
But if I'm doing 10 minutes, I want to chart out that if I had my way, these would be the bits that I would do, and then I kind of chart through some old stuff that if that's not working, I'll move to this and then you go out, and then just whatever happens. But I like feeling prepared, so I do that. Do you kind of have a? Do you all do kind of a framework?
I like to lay a little bit of the groundwork.
Okay.
And then leave a lot of room for error.
Nice. And especially since you've been doing it long enough, I'm sure you can.
I could cover.
Yeah.
And I know, and I could tell if I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
The minute I talk to somebody, the minute I especially if it's usually what happens is I get brought in because I'm the name, right?
Yeah.
And usually I'm working with this younger guy,
okay,
right? A younger comic, we'll call it a younger comic, right? And he's so excited that I'm there that he won't leave me the fuck alone. Right?
Yeah.
And you go, brother, I just want to put my stuff down.
I gotta get ready.
I gotta put my stuff down, and then we'll you know.
Yeah.
And I used to be that young guy too, who I was like, I would work a name and I'd be like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
And I go, brother, man, like, and I always ask, do you have any ideas? I always ask them, do you have any ideas?
That's cool.
And if they have an idea, and usually if it's some young kid, he usually has this crazy fucking move I'm not gonna take. And I go, psychology wise, you're not gonna pick me up for that.
Sure. Yeah.
And
I don't want to jump that
high. And I'm not going to do that for you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take that because I don't want to die from you trying to pick me up to do this 459er gainer onto my head. All right. Yeah. So that's a thing that I've dealt with. But yeah,
here's one for you. Have you ever worked with somebody who was, they're the big ticket, they're the giant name. Mm-hmm. You've lived it. You're a seasoned, grizzled pro, and you get in the back with this giant name is going to push tickets out the ass. And when you start talking, you go, "Oh, they don't have it at all. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have the chops. They're
I'm thinking about that right now. I've never came across that.
Because that's growing in my world.
Is it really?
You will have a headliner who has 600,000 TikTok followers or Instagram followers, and they haven't written an honest joke in their life. But they may sell a couple hundred tickets or a couple dozen tickets because of their name. So they're going up at the end, and they're going to go down in flames almost certainly.
Yeah, I've never. I mean, I've worked a couple of the older cats where like they can't move very well, so I got to do a lot of the work.
Yeah,
but no, I've never had one of those guys where I go up to him and talk to him like a grizzled guy, and I go,
yeah.
Oh fuck, I'm in trouble.
So they've all earned it.
They've all earned it.
Nice.
Oh yeah, they've all
good
filled up their bump card.
That's good to hear.
You know, it's a little bit different. Now, I've worked those guys who have those big followers, right? Who got hot off TikTok, whatever the fuck. A GIF. Is it GIF or GIF?
I think it actually is GIF.
Is it GIF?
I've heard people say it's GIF. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I go and talk to them. I go, ooh, I'm in trouble. Yeah, I've had that. Yeah, and I go, ooh, I'm gonna have to protect myself.
But from a promotion standpoint, they'll still go like, hey, we'll put you on the third match or whatever.
Yeah.
But they do it the right way.
Yeah, but usually we'll go last just because I'm the name.
Good deal.
Yeah.
So for your headliner match, how long are your matches typically compared to an opening match?
So if it's done right, opening matches usually go about 5 minutes.
Wow, that quick.
Yeah, they go about 5.
Quick.
Yeah, they go about 5, and they gradually after intermission they kind of start going a little bit longer.
Okay.
And if the match card is proper, about 7 matches.
Yeah.
You'll do 4 matches, do an intermission for 10 minutes.
Nice.
People can get up, stretch, go to the merch table, do their thing.
Good, yeah.
You know, and then you'll come back with a match, and then they'll gradually, and the main event usually probably goes 15 to 20. Maybe.
Nice. Okay.
Maybe. Usually what happens is the promoter goes, you guys have all the time in the world.
Right.
Just don't go an hour.
Go until they quit. Go until they're ready to be done.
Yeah, right. So we'll go, you know, if I'm working somebody that I know I can bang with, and we can get it in, we can tell a good story, and we can fucking rock and roll.
Yeah.
I'll probably go 20, 25 minutes and just be completely just blown sky high, like to like tired as shit.
Yeah.
Then I'll walk to the merch table afterwards, sell some merchandise, pack up, and then I got a flight at 6 a.m. So
Jesus, yeah.
I'm not out of there until 1.
Yeah.
You know,
so you're
enough time to grab something to eat, go to the hotel, shower, grab an Uber.
So you kind of have to manage months at a time to go like, I can give him 25 tonight, but it's going to screw up Omaha now.
No, because they're paying you to come in, so you got to do Omaha.
Give them what you got.
You got to go in there and do Omaha. Yeah. And if you're doing Omaha and they're paying you to be the main event, and you're coming in there and you're facing so and so, man, you got to go another 20, 25 minutes. Like,
so how do you preserve the body from the wheels falling off?
You take those days off during the week very seriously.
Yeah, I bet.
When I was going really hard, man, I was on the road Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, fly home Monday, home Tuesday, Wednesday, on the road Thursday.
Yeah.
And that's enough time to get a little bit of business done, wash the gear, repack the merch, and
back at it,
man. And that's the thing is though, is like, I don't know if you travel this much, but it's like you're going, I was flying different places. Like I was in a different state every night.
Oh, wow.
So different time zones.
Just a whirlwind.
Yeah. You'd be I think one time I did Texas to Washington to New Orleans to fucking somewhere else, and then back to California. Dude, my time zone.
She was like, my body has no idea what time it is.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Dude, and I've been awake for 72 hours.
Yeah.
And you're trying to take like a little nap, but by the time you land, you got to get enough time to get something to eat.
Yeah.
Go to the hotel, check in. Sometimes you're like, dude, just give me an hour, let me take a nap.
Sure.
Just give me a fucking hour, let me take it. But you're so wired, you can't take a nap.
Right.
So you just kind of keep going.
Push it.
But then you finally, when you're at the show and you're sitting in the back, you get fucking tired.
Yeah. Yes. There's
because
an
you're
adrenaline
sitting
dump.
there and you're hurrying up and you're fucking waiting.
This place, this probably sounds silly, but this place I'm going to tonight, I've got to be really careful because they've got a green room that's so nice. I said this at Lompoc, the show that we met.
Yeah.
They've got a green room upstairs that's so nice you could move into it.
Yes.
And the last show I went to, I sat down after a week's, like I had a 3 or 4 week run where it was just a show every night.
That's awesome.
And it was like, and it was just a ton of driving. So I was like 50 miles outside of Yosemite one night and then down in Paso the next night. So it was all just like these 2.5 to 3 hour drives each way and then come back and do all this stuff. And I get to the show and I sit down in the green room and it's nice and cozy and comfortable. And I just like everything dropped out of me. I was like, oh shit, I gotta get myself uncomfortable or this is about to be an awful night.
I'll take a nap back there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll take a power nap. Be like, yo, just leave me alone. Let me just fucking just let me power nap real quick, dude. I have learned power naps are amazing.
I gotta figure out how to do the power nap because that's the thing that happens.
I was never a napper.
Too much in my head, and I lay down to do the nap, and it just doesn't work out.
I was never a napper until lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's changed everything.
It just changed everything, man.
Nice. Every day?
Not every day.
Okay.
Like I haven't taken a nap yet today.
Okay.
Might take one when you leave.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It just depends on what I'm doing, man. But I'm so scheduled right now. Like I'm up at like 4 a.m.
Damn.
You know, first meal by 4:30 at the gym. At the gym by 5.
You're on it.
You know, and then 5 to 8:30 I'm at the gym. You know,
You're getting
second meal. You know, business, so on and so forth. Boom, 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 boom,
Good
boom.
for you.
So yeah, man, it's just like it's constant go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you do it like that, it kind of feeds itself too. Like the energy
Absolutely.
builds, and that's a good way.
I've noticed that if I'm not a scheduled human being,
It falls apart.
bro,
Yeah.
the wheels fall off the track so quick.
5 a.m. is a good gym time too. 5 a.m. is perfect. Like my gym opens up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I've gotten there at 4 a.m. It's a rugged bunch that's there at 4 a.m. They're the worst people on earth.
Yeah.
They're the worst people. At 5 a.m., great. It's basically empty. 4 a.m., there's 25 people there that you don't want to be in their way at all. They're monsters of human beings. 5 a.m., tremendous.
Because those 4 a.m. guys have been up.
They've been up.
Since like 2:33.
Yeah.
Ready to get to the gym, get the pre-workout in, ready to fucking get in there and fucking slam some
Just
iron.
a nightmare.
Yeah. Man.
5 a.m., nice and cleared out and good to go.
Yeah, I've noticed that if I try to work out in the afternoon, it just doesn't work.
It tanks.
Yeah, my workouts aren't there, and I'm already kind of like in business mode.
Yeah.
Like that's my time between 4 a.m. to 8:30 a.m.
Yeah.
That's my time
Nothing's
where I don't
going on.
fucking deal with nothing.
Yeah, it's quiet.
It's quiet.
No calls, no texts.
No calls, no texts.
No emails.
I check the fucking social media real quick.
Yeah.
I ate my meal. I'm on social media real quick. And then in the gym, I don't touch my phone.
Nice. Just let it run.
I'll touch it if I have to change the song or something,
that's it.
or the playlist. But other than that, it's in my bag.
Good for you.
Yeah,
That's a good way to
that's
do it.
It's my sanctuary.
You get to zone out.
Yeah, man, that's my sanctuary.
The sauna is a big one like that for me. I loved it. Like if I can get in the sauna and just sit for like 45 minutes to an hour, I'll put headphones in so no one talks to me.
Yeah.
And then I'll do a workout and then I'll go sit in the sauna for a good 45 minutes and and there's something about that when it comes to ideas, it just kind of calms. Like 35 minutes in, I'm at the point where the water's empty. I've been sweating for over half an hour.
Yep.
I'm at that point where I feel depleted of like my body's saying you should go, but we're going to stay another 15 minutes, and it just turns the brain on. I guess that's my nap right now, is doing that. It's good recharge.
Is that where do you do most of your writing at?
I will try to sit myself down and force myself to write a couple times a week and like do that, get in the notepad, because it's really helpful to do. And as long as I'm doing that, and as long as I have something that I'm interested in that I'm reading, the ideas will just start to poke their way throughout I'll usually sit down in front of a notepad for an hour on a Friday and just dog shit comes out. And then I'll read a book for half hour, an hour. Like right now, I'm reading a biography of Kurt Cobain that was written by his business manager.
Okay.
I love stuff like that because the business manager is he's just close enough to Kurt to have some real insight as to who the guy was.
Real life shit.
But emotionally, he's just far enough away that he won't be tainted and clouded to tell a skewed story.
Yeah.
Love stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's got me engaged right now. And if I sit down a couple times a week and write, I won't get anything out of that session. But tomorrow I'll wake up and something that we talked about will kick a premise into my head. And I can be pretty prolific to turn material over. When I get that idea, I can get 3 to 6 minutes out of that really quickly.
That's insane. Like, and writing jokes can't be easy. You know, because you don't know if it's going to be funny unless you try it.
You never know if it's going to. You almost never know if it's going to be funny. You never know how good it's going to be until you try it, and it feels like. I don't know if you have an equivalent to this, but when you're in the stage where, like I've talked about it, it's almost be like you're searching for a Wi-Fi signal. It's like, I'm waiting for something to come in and it's not. I feel like I've never written a joke in my life until something new comes in.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, that new one hits and you're like, all right, we feel good again and kind of get off and rolling. But until it comes, you just can't
because
force it.
You sit there and you're writing and you're sitting there on your notepad and you're like, this is kind of pops me, but like you probably pop over stupid shit,
That's right?
Because I pop over stupid shit, right?
Absolutely.
But you're like, is the audience going to pop over stupid shit? Do they have the same sense of humor as I do?
And do they hear what I see when I say this? Will they see it?
Right.
And you never know.
And that's so hard to paint the picture because you don't know the way people are going to react.
And some things you're too close to. Like I'm just now at the point where I can do material about my family and things that have happened in my family, and it's starting to work. But it took a couple of years to be far enough away from those events to where my connection to it doesn't bleed through and it just doesn't connect with them because they weren't in it the same way. And so now I'm finally at that point where I can get through there, but that took forever. There are a lot of times where I'm working on a bit and it's just not going, and I'll realize I'm too close to it right now. I got to give it 3 months until I'm emotionally divested from whatever this is, and then I can make it funny for other people.
It's awesome.
It's a weird weird world that way. I don't know if you've got like.
Well, it's not like I could fucking go, and grab somebody and be like, "Let me try this wrestling move real quick,"
How do you do?
I don't know.
How long does it take you to learn to tell a story in the? Okay, here's a two-phase question. Okay. Sorry if this is convoluted.
You're good.
How long does it take you to learn to tell a story in the ring, and what is it? You came up with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And there's not many of you left in the position that you are.
Correct.
What was it that you saw that kind of intrinsic thing that you found to tell a story that those others around you when you came up, just that switch never flipped on?
That's good. Wow, that's a good question. I'm trying to remember the first part. I was thinking about the second.
How long does it take you to tell a story?
You know what? Honestly, I'm still learning. Because you never stop learning. It's the same thing as comedy. You never stop learning. Yeah. Different stories of how to tell different stories, how to sell different stories. How to tell different stories. How to. A perfect example. One of my coaches at Ring of Honor. His name's Jonathan. When I was at Ring of Honor, was named Jonathan Gresham. He's one of the best storytellers that I know, and he would. In the world of professional wrestling, there's a thing called cutoff, right? Where the heel cuts off the babyface, right? Okay. And then he starts giving steam to him, right? Yeah. That's usually where the babyface is down. He's firing, he's trying to get fire, right? Yeah. And then when he goes and, sometimes it's the big double down, the babyface comes back and he starts fucking rock and roll on the heel and the fucking crowd's, right? He goes, why does the heel always have to cut off the babyface? Okay. And I go, and I'm like, well, he goes, why doesn't the babyface cut off the babyface? For the heel. So I go, oh fuck. And that's a different thing. Like, do something to put it in their mind that something could be somewhat hurt. Yeah. Yeah. And then have that heel target that.
Don't be afraid to break the mold.
Don't be afraid to break the mold, right? Because usually what happens is like the heel's like, oh, I'll cut you off with a clothesline. I'll cut you off with this. And it's like, what if I go to pick you up for a body slam and my back goes out? Yeah. Oh, everybody can relate to that. Yeah. Everybody's gone to pick up something. Interesting. Everybody's gone to pick up like a box. Their back goes out. And they go, oh shit. Yeah. And you just have that that moment, go, fuck.
And so the baby face has to fight through his own.
And then you just, as a baby face, you cut yourself off. So say I go to say you're the heel and I'm a baby face, right? And I go to pick you up for a body slam, and I slam it, bam, and I go, ooh, shit.
Yeah.
Ooh, and like the guy in the front row goes, ooh, did he really hurt his back?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, man. And I go, and I keep going, I keep moving, but like every move is just a little bit tougher because like my back, right?
Yeah.
And then I shit can you to the outside. I go to the outside. Next thing you know, you run me into the apron. Bam, my back's on the apron. Now there's the target. Now I just gave the heel the target because you've seen me.
Yeah.
Every move I did was like, oh shit, my back. So now as the heel, you're like, oh, okay, I can see his back's hurt. Yeah. So the minute I get that opportunity, I'm gonna take that.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
And one of the big when Gresh was telling me this, I was just like, oh man.
Yeah.
He goes, same thing with your arm, same thing with your neck, same thing with anything you do. You do it up and over and you land on your fucking and your knee and you go, oh shit. Everybody's jamming their knee every once in a while.
And I guess if you have in that case, back to another connection point, if you've got a match partner where you're like, I might be in trouble, I don't know if I can trust this person. Now you've taken a whole bunch off their shoulders.
Absolutely.
Just focus. It's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. I control what happens to me.
Yeah.
That's why
I don't need your performance to build up the crowd.
That's why I have sustained not as many injuries as I have had. That many people have, because I don't take stupid bumps.
Right.
I don't do stupid moves. Yeah. I do everything that I do makes somewhat of sense.
Yeah.
And if I do get hurt, it's because the other person hurt me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've only hurt one person in the ring.
Wow, a whole career.
My whole career.
Wow.
In 12 years, I've only hurt one person.
Yeah. And
it was a complete accident.
And I'm sure, to some degree, if you do it long enough, it's going to happen once.
I knocked him out. Clear
It wasn't Big Hoss, was it?
No, it was an Insiguri. I used to do this kind of back flippy kind of Insiguri kind of thing where the guy was in the buckle and my back would be to him and I would kind of rotate and my leg would come and hit him. Yeah. And it was just I used to wear kick pads I go, hey, protect yourself with this one, and for some strange apparent reason, I was just light that day. I flipped and I just whipped really hard and KO'd him. Boom. He was out cold. It was like watching like Drago knock out, Apollo.
Snoring in the
ring. Out. Down the ropes, out. Boom.
No.
And I go, oh, shit.
Yeah. So do you just pin him at that point, or do you act hurt until he wakes up?
I go to the ref. I go, ref, check on him, make sure he's okay. Is he selling?
Make sure he's alive.
Yeah, make sure is he selling for me? And he goes, dude, he's out.
Like, what are you, 255, 260?
I was like 240. I was like 230 at the time when I did this.
Look at that.
Yeah,
look at that Cheshire grin. Yeah,
I'm 250 now.
Oh,
all right?
Okay, yeah. All right.
And he's like, dude, he's out. He's snoring.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh fuck. So I pull him to pin him. This fucker wakes up and kicks out.
Oh, man.
And I grab him in a hold, and I'm holding him. I go, dude, are you all right? And he's, and I go, I tell the referee, he'll call the match. Like, he's still out of it. Yeah. And then next thing you know, like, the ref calls the match. He's like, okay, he's out.
Yeah.
Right? And I back off. He rolls out of the ring. And then next thing I know, he's coming back in the ring to come and fight me.
Good for him. For him.
So then we're getting into a fucking brawl.
A real fight?
No, it wasn't. Okay. It was a work, but like we're getting into it, and then
the crowd had to love this.
The crowd's going nuts for it, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, and I grab him again. And I kind of do this judo hip move to him to kind of put him down a little bit because he's still kind of not there, And I grab him again and I go, what the fuck, dude, you okay? And he's just like, what happened? and I fucking throw him and I go to the back and he comes to the back and he's like, that was great. And I go, yeah, I guess.
He doesn't know his name anymore, but he's still out there.
Yeah, he's still out there, yeah. So, yeah, dude, it was, and like the promoter comes up to me, it's my buddy Mike, it's his birthday, happy birthday. He comes up to me, he goes, what the fuck happened? And I go, dude, I knocked him out cold with my enziguri. And he goes, yeah, we saw that.
Yeah.
It was like a whiplash. He went whoosh.
Yeah.
And then he was out.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then he just kept fighting.
He just came back.
He just kept
like
fighting
a zombie.
me. Yeah, I pinned him. He kicked out. I grabbed him. They called the match, and then he just kept fighting.
He decided he had more in him.
He decided he had more in him.
I was like, can you do that next week?
Yes,
like,
right.
I'll ask him.
Yeah, I'll see if he's okay.
So what do you think it is about it that you picked up these things and most of your peers didn't? Because for me, I'll look at a lot of people I started with, or a lot of contemporaries, and I'll try to drive the certain points home of like, hey, prepare, try. It's cool to try. Like in the comedy world, we've got this. I think a lot of people think it's cool to be nonchalant, and they have this vision in their head that I'm going to be special. I'm going to be Dave Chappelle. I can just get up and wing it and be whatever. And I'll drive it like, hey, it's actually really cool if you try. If you let a crowd know you guys hired a babysitter to come out here, I'm going to do my best. But then there's certain things that I just can't get across as to like you said, how to work a room, how to connect and there's certain things I don't know how to express to somebody is this is how you get 20 new minutes every 3 months or whatever it is.
What they probably don't understand is even the guys like Dave Chappelle and guys like Kevin Hart and stuff like that, they still write down their shit.
Always working.
Yeah. So they could go out there and try to wing it.
Yeah.
Right. And I've seen that where and you said it perfect. Try.
Yeah. I was in this mentoring, like it was me and two other professional, like I forget what they were, but in the business world, and we were mentoring kids that were looking to go into industry when they go to college and all that. And there was this one of these mentors was like showing off. He's like, yeah, I used to never study for tests, and I would like get and I stopped. I was like, hey, not cool. Congratulations, but I'm not impressed by the fact that you just happen to be naturally talented, but decided to never get the best out of yourself. That's not going to help them at all.
No, not at all.
Even the one who's like you, I don't want to see them not get the best out of themselves.
Right.
So, yeah, there is a whole thing. Is there something about your approach or things that you picked up that set you apart from the pack?
I think constantly just going after it, trying, what you said was try.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people believe that it's going to come to their doorstep.
Yeah.
And it's not going to come to their doorstep.
Yeah.
And a lot of these bigger companies don't know who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
Same with a lot of the bigger comedy clubs. They don't know who the fuck
not
you are. No, it's word to mouth.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with pro wrestling. It's word to mouth.
And I was very happy you share something with me. You seem to have a very modest approach. Like you should have a more well-named comedian sitting in this chair. But we got along.
Yeah.
You like the show. You seem to have a really humble approach that built this thing.
It's just being me, I guess.
Is that common in the wrestling world?
I had to learn it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was cocky. Fuck,
young man cocky, or successful wrestler cocky?
I was WWE's looking at me 6 months in. You guys can all go fuck yourselves. Cocky. And I got humbled very quickly.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where it's just like I almost 86'd myself out of the wrestling business
because of that.
Because of
that
being
quickly.
Well, being a I was a drug addict too, and alcoholic as well.
And that's what I was going to ask. Is that type of strenuous road schedule seems to lend itself to those risks?
Bro, I partied hard. Back in the day,
I imagine.
I don't I'm 8.5 years clean.
Yeah.
Like I don't party at all anymore.
Right.
Like when I'm on the road, I go to my hotel afterwards, or I go and grab something to eat, and I don't go to any after parties. I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
And it's not me being like stuck up. Oh, I'm a star. All this. No, it's because I don't want to be around the temptation.
And you want to give it your best. Like I imagine when you're a young man on a schedule like that, sometimes the partying and the substances feels like the only way to get through it.
That's it.
And then as you get older, you realize the only way to get through it is to not.
Yeah, it really was. Like we would do a show, and it was kind of the same thing because I wasn't flying many places when I first broke in. I was in the car a lot.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you were saying. You were in Yosemite.
Where I'm at now.
Yeah, Yosemite to Paso.
Yes.
We would go from the Bay Area to LA, the next day, and we would be crashing on people's floors,
Sure.
and we would be doing like all, for gas money or $20 or whatever it is,
whatever it
took
Yeah.
to get in that
go up the
ring.
chain.
We didn't care.
Yeah.
And we would spend that money, and then we would drive back Sunday night and then go to our shoot jobs, our real jobs at like 5 a.m, and then we would work all week and then have everything else that we had to do, and then go and be on the road again while trying to conduct business on top of that, right? It's a constant grind, like you said.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't willing to put in that grind.
Sure.
And we would be in San Francisco one night, or Friday night we'd be at like Hood Slam, and then we'd be drinking and partying, and and then we would have to be in fucking, I don't know, like LA, San Bernardino the next night, and I'd be driving fucking down the 5, like being barely able to fucking see, get to the show, do the show, fucking party more, driving, man, it was, dude.
I've told crowds this before, what the life is like. I would say to like a crowd is like, you love the movie 8 Mile. You know why you love it? It's when you've seen when he wins the rap battle at the end, and then he leaves to go back to the factory job.
To the factory.
They play the end credits.
Yeah.
But in real life, you'd have to watch him press bumpers for 9 hours now. It's glamorous when you watch him walk down the alleyway. My life is to actually go press the bumpers now for 9 hours, and it's a whole other thing when you got to do that.
Yeah. And what's even more kind of embarrassing is when you wrestle locally.
Yeah.
And then the kid that was cheering for you that thinks you're a goddamn superstar, you're serving their table.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they go, wait a minute, and I'm like, shit.
There's nothing scarier. I've got, like, my home venue is in Bakersfield, and they're asking me to do a show there. They said, like, we want you to headline a show here. And I keep saying, no, thank you, because eating shit at home, and then I'm out at a restaurant, and somebody that saw me bomb. Now I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that at home. I'll put it on the line in Paso, and if it goes poorly, I won't see you guys for another 8 months.
Yeah, right.
What are the odds we bump into each other again? But yeah, I go out, and 6 people that go to my gym every day. Well, I've had that happen. Yeah, the first time I ever headlined a show in Bakersfield, it was way too early. I was 1.5 years into comedy, and I was going to do 45 minutes, and the show went about 2.5 hours before I got on. It was just everything wrong that could have happened. The crowd was dead. They'd been beaten to a pulp. I went out there. I told my first joke. It didn't work. I told my second joke. The DJ walked across the stage and tripped. Nobody even laughed at that. Second joke didn't work. So I moved my closer up to do it next, like the best joke I had. And I finished this joke, and like 2 people in the crowd went, ha ha ha.
No, jeez.
And I had 41 minutes left.
I would have said, hey, brother, we're rolling up. We're going home.
So it was my first time headlining a town. And in my day job, there was another new comedian that just started who was a coworker in my day job.
Yeah.
So he brought like 35 coworkers to see him.
No.
Who now it was their first time seeing me. And then there were these trainers from my gym that just happened to be at the show. So I did the full 45. And I got off, and my whole body, I'm just sweating, pools of sweat. And I get off, and one of these trainers, this girl comes over and gives me like this half-hearted hug, and she goes, oh, that's what practice is for, right? I just wanted to...
Bitch!
If there was a building higher than 12 stories in my city, I would have jumped off of it immediately. I was like, oh, please, I just don't want to see anybody. And then it was like 3 phases of embarrassment. So for like 2 months, I was just so embarrassed to see anybody that was there.
Yeah.
And then after 2 months, I realized I was so wrapped up in my own self that I was embarrassed about it. So it was like an Inception movie. So yeah.
Have you ever had that moment where you're like, maybe this isn't for me?
All the time. All the time. It happens less frequently as I go.
Yeah.
But there's always those, you'll get into a funk where you don't feel like the shows have gone the way you wanted them for 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Or you see some of your contemporaries that may not quite have the chops, that are getting certain things, and you're like, well, maybe the people have spoken and they just don't want me to do. But then it always kind of comes back to like, I love this. Like, this is my whole thing. But that pops up all the time, much less frequently now. But even still, I'll go through phases.
You ever had like maybe like the family tell you like, hey, maybe you should try something different.
I'm lucky that I come from a family of dreamers. They don't know.
That's awesome.
It's great.
That's fucking cool.
They don't know how to like. They don't like. One of the things that I'll be able to add for my kid is to be able to add the resource support to be like, do you want to be a magician? Well, this is where magicians are. Let's go reach out and whatever. Let's send you to magic. They did, but they were always like when I played basketball in high school. And I didn't get to play in college, but until I was about 21 years old, if you'd asked my dad, he'd have told you I was eventually going to get in the NBA somehow. I come from a family of dreamers, and it's really helpful that way that you don't have somebody going, hey, cut this out.
I've had that number amount of times where it's like exes and whatnot. They go, hey, like,
really?
I don't think this is the wrestling thing. Like, you need to get a real job.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hard, man.
Oh, yeah. And you go, it's very disheartening, but like, damn it, I love this so much. Yeah. I almost like, with my ex-wife, she's like, yo, it's wrestling or me.
Ooh, that's hard.
Yeah, and I went with wrestling, by the way.
You went with wrestling.
Yeah, that's why there's an X in front of her name.
That's right. This is Coffee with Sledge, not not Coffee with John Q.
Yeah, that's right. You know. By the way, John Q's a really good movie.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Great movie,
dude.
A great movie. I've only watched one time,
dude.
Also, is The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke.
Yeah,
and I've only watched it one time because I was sad for a week and a half after I watched it.
I love that movie.
Oh, I watched it one time. I started listening to that Bruce Springsteen song afterwards. I just couldn't. I was in a funk of just emo state after when he cuts his own hand at the butcher shop just to kind of get
to get out of there. Yeah,
and to kind of work the customer.
You know what's funny though is like you watch that and that's real life pro wrestling.
Yeah.
You watch what Mickey Rourke did, and that is real life pro wrestling.
Yeah.
That is the older guy who used to be on top in the 80s who goes and works the signings, this and that. And then like, I know a lot of the guys that were in that movie.
Really?
Yeah. Like a lot of the guys were actually real wrestlers.
And the love interest was so like the one person that's still enamored.
Yeah.
It's such a good, like human condition movie and inside industry movie. I didn't realize there were a lot of like, a lot of real deal wrestlers.
Yeah, the hardcore guy he wrestled, that put him through the barbed wire right before he had the heart attack.
Yes,
that was Necro Butcher. Yeah, that's a real life, and he is a tough son of a bitch.
Is that right?
Necro's tough.
Still out on the circuit.
Still out there on the circuit.
Cool,
dude. I just saw him about 6 months ago.
That's
Necro.
even cooler that they did it the real way. They got real deal.
Yeah, he did it the real way, and I think that's why the movie was so successful.
Yeah.
And the way that it was portrayed in the world of professional wrestling, because the people in the world of professional wrestling are not very, like, especially us boys in the business.
Yeah,
we're not very forgiving. If you decide to shit on our business, kind of the same thing with comedy. You're not very forgiving.
Won't forget it.
Right. So if you go and you portray a professional wrestler and you portray it to the point of to the T, we're all going to support it.
Nice.
You know,
Have there been any that bastardized it, that just any kind of movies that they've done that the community is known for going like that? What's that?
Ready to Rumble, which I love.
Is that David Arquette?
Yeah, David Arquette. Okay. Yeah. Ready to Rumble.
Is he well received in the community?
He is now.
Okay, it took time.
He did like a little comeback thing. He actually did not Netflix. Was it on Netflix? No, it was on Hulu or one of those fucking streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Of him getting back into into professional wrestling.
Nice.
And it was David Arquette versus the World or some shit like that, and it was actually really, 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 really good.
Yeah.
Honest
really look.
Good, real honest look.
That's cool.
Because he got a lot of heat for becoming WCW champion.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he got a lot of heat for that.
Yikes.
And was like exiled from the wrestling business. And like it actually like hurt a lot of his movie roles too.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
And he earned his way back in.
He earned his way back in.
Did you see the new Scream?
I did.
Spoiler alert, it was the only part of the movie that I didn't like that he got killed. I was like, man, him?
They killed him respectfully, though.
They did. They did, but they also killed him unrealistically because it was the girl that killed the tiny girl that killed and like lifted him up with a knife.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh man,
that's true.
And I would have never thought that they'd have gotten rid of. He was like the tent pole.
He was the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I watched it when it came out. I was actually in Denver when it came out.
Oh, nice.
I went after a show. The last screening, I was like, I got to be out of here by this time because I have tickets for this movie.
Yeah.
And it was
really well done.
Yeah, it was. I'm
a big Scream guy.
I'm
too.
a huge Scream guy. Ghostface is fucking the man. Dude.
I saw Scream 2 in the theaters. I was like a teenage kid.
Dude, when Jamie Kennedy, I think that's what his name is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when he goes "fuck you" into the cell phone is the most classic fucking shit.
It's
you
the
know,
best.
and then he gets pulled into the fucking thing. He gets fucking knifed up.
It's the best.
Yeah,
like I was never scared of The Exorcist or like all those like supernatural things, but the idea that just a crazed teenager or young adult can go on a killing spree with a knife in a Halloween mask is so, number one, so believable.
Yes.
Good storyline. It pokes fun at itself, but not in a too campy way.
Yep.
And like I said, Scream 2, I was like a teenager, and the opening scene of Scream 2 is a guy goes to the bathroom while watching their version of Scream 1 and gets killed in the bathroom.
Yes.
And I'm watching it at the theater. I literally sat for the rest of the movie with my back away from my chair, nervous. You can't beat it.
And then he comes and he sits next to the girlfriend.
He does.
With the mask
forgot
on.
about that.
Yeah, and then fucking pulls the gimmick out and fucking stabs her.
Yeah.
And then she fucking dies in front of everybody.
So
and he just
good.
exits out.
So good.
So good.
So good.
You guys haven't seen it? See it.
Yeah, horror movie. I see Freddy Krueger on the desk.
I'm a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Did you like Freddy versus Jason?
I did. I actually like the new Nightmare on Elm Street too.
I haven't seen
and
it.
A lot of people shit on it. And I actually really like that one too.
I don't know how I took us here. Sorry.
No, it's good. I like it. Yeah, you probably saw all the horse shit. I got Freddy right here on the ground.
Good deal.
Yeah, he's usually
nice.
Yeah, he's usually up here, but when I do the other podcast, he goes. Yeah. My co-host, he's like, I don't like that. You need to put him somewhere. So he just ends up over here. But yeah, great. Man, I got Nightmare on Elm Street. I saw the new Halloween. Can't stand it.
Didn't like it.
I don't suggest it.
I haven't seen it yet. No.
I don't suggest it.
This is the one where like it ends here.
It ends.
Stupid. Because you won't.
Well, fuck. I hope so. They put it. I don't want to spoil. Like I don't know if you want me to spoil it or not, but like
let's do it.
Okay.
For the sake of the.
You ever seen those like those? Yeah, fuck it, right?
I love the
yeah. Have you ever seen the like? I guess they're the trash compactors, the things that like crush anything.
Yeah,
you know they'll crush
the
cars.
The balers.
Yeah, is that what they're called?
Yeah,
whatever the fuck.
I don't know.
Anyway, they put him in that.
Yeah,
and they fucking crush him up. But
it ends.
Yeah.
Then Jamie Lee Curtis live.
Here's the thing. Okay, here's what's fucking pisses me off about the whole goddamn movie. Michael Myers doesn't need a goddamn tag team partner.
Wait, he has a tag team partner?
He's got a tag team partner.
It's not that old doctor, is it?
No. It's this new... I tried to explain
so they opened a door for
They
some
opened
new
up a door
peckerhead.
for a new fucking guy, but he died.
Or did he?
Did
he go on the baler too?
No, he did. Well, did he? No, he didn't. He got his fucking neck slit, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, why does he need a little buddy?
To help him get more power, to get powerful.
That's dumb.
It's fucking dumb.
They rushed it.
They
rushed it.
They did. Jamie Lee Curtis was very awkward in it.
Yeah.
Very awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't.
That's a shame.
Yeah, man. And I was.
Maybe they could Spider-Man this thing and just start a new universe.
Fuck no. Don't do that. I really hope that they make another Nightmare on Elm Street, which I don't think they're going to.
Yeah.
Just because New Line Cinema owns it. And like New Line got bought by somebody and it's a big fuckery.
Red tape, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think they should do another Jason. And thank God they're done with Halloween. I would love to see another Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Because I love Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
I think Leatherface
great
is
storyline.
Yeah, and they actually did. They just did one. I'm sorry, they just did one. It was on Netflix. I think it was on Netflix, and I thought it was really really cool how they did it.
I don't think I saw that new one.
Yeah, and that one was. It was like they took these people in this town in the middle of fucking nowhere in Texas.
Yeah.
you know. And
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And there was some, I did see it. And
they were trying to fucking sell the place like it's going to be the new, hippest thing. And then, fucking, Leatherface is there.
And it was like influencers coming out.
Yeah, dude. And he was just,
good commentary.
like he was live on fucking Instagram. And he's just fucking slicing motherfuckers. It was awesome.
It must be, I've thought this quite a bit, that it must be really hard to make a good horror film, because so many horror films that I've watched fall short at the end.
Yes.
Like it must be really, it's the only thing I could think of, because it's really talented people that make this stuff.
Yeah.
It must be really hard to write an ending that closes it the right way, because I see so many that just fall short.
And you write comedy, Have you ever tried to do a screenplay?
No. I should try it.
I'll
give it a try.
I mean,
but I will say this: there's been a number of times I've been in the middle of a bit and realized, oh shit, I don't have an ending to this. I didn't realize it. I was in a so it didn't wind up mattering or meaning anything. But I was maybe it was a big lesson for me. I was 3 or 4 years into comedy. I was doing a competition, which I hate. I hate comedy competitions. Sound like an oxymoron. It sounds ridiculous. But it happens.
It's like the last comic standing kind of thing.
That kind of deal is like who's got the better sit. But I hate that. Like there's the two things. I don't like comedy competitions, and I'm usually tendency against the roast battle type, because I just don't like that it's easier to sell tickets that way. Of like, if I tell you 6 comedians are just going to give you their best stuff, 80 of 100 of you might come out. But if I tell you that 6 comedians are going to come up and do their best stuff, and I'm going to tell 5 of them they're losers, 100 out of 100 of you are going to come out. That just bothers me, just from a sociological standpoint.
Yeah. Because like you're like, why do I have to shit on this guy for you guys to come out? Yeah.
So I was in this competition. I was like, I'm just going to do this open mic style. I'm going to do a bit. I'm going to write it as best as I can, but I'll do a bit that I've never done before, and we'll just see how it goes. And at the bit, it was going really well. And I was at about 3 minutes, 45 seconds, about to close this little 5-minute competition set. And I realized at that point, I don't have an ending for this. I don't really have a good way out of this bit. And so hard lesson to learn.
Did you just go, okay, guys, see you later, bye?
No, it was just kind of like this stilted. It was like it's just a joke that wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
And so like it was built into this big crescendo, and then I just kind of wienered out at the end, and everyone was like, oh, it's still good. But I knew I'd lost. Like the girl who went up before me, one of my best friends in the world, Mar Haggard, and she had just broken her leg, so her foot, so she had a big boot on her foot. She was 2 comics before me. She got up in her first joke. She's a lesbian. I was in her wedding. I was a bridesman, I think it was called. So she gets up, and her first joke is, my mom told me when I was a kid not to run with scissors. No one told me not to run while scissoring.
Oh shit! There it is.
And then she had a whole thing after that. So my set went really well, but when it petered out at the end, I got off stage, and as I walked, Mar was at the edge, and I tapped her on the leg, and I said, congratulations. Like, I knew the way that mine ended that she had just won.
That she just won.
I knew the way that my set ended that she had just won, and sure enough, she did. But it was a good hard lesson of like, hey, you better the most important is to figure your way out of this thing.
Now, how will you get is it kind of the same way like with pro wrestling? Is like you're emailing constant comedy clubs and so on and so forth saying, hey, put me on, or give me this, give me, hey, I'll come in for, because you're now like you're kind of a seasoned guy, so you probably have your rate set. Yeah. Like, hey, I need this, and this.
Yeah.
Right?
So you'll reach, a lot of bookers will reach out to you, and then everybody's got their own line as to how they reach out to. Some people have a draw that a club will book them for a night or a weekend or whatever. Some of us, you'll get kind of guest spots and stuff like that. Some people will go, hey, I'll rent your room for the night. Just let me produce it myself and sell tickets and whatever. And it's kind of it's kind of a whole mesh. I don't know if yours is more rigid and standard, but it's kind of all, unless the improv is saying, we're going to bring you from Thursday through Sunday, 2 shows each night. until he got as big as he is now, like the Bert Kreischer style or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're not one of those guys, it's really fluid in kind of how the pay structure and booking structure works.
It's kind of the same thing. Like promoter reaches out and you just promoter reaches out, or you reach out to the promoter, be like, hey, you know, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Okay, man, like where you out of, you know, da da da, and then you got to work business from there. Or,
that's kind of how tonight happened. Is this place that I'm going to tonight? I've worked there twice previously, and I saw that she had posted that she was filling up her 23 calendar. So I just reached out and I said, hey, I'd love your room. If you got anything next year, want to have me down, be glad to come down. She goes, I'm thanks, I'm working on my dates right now, but is there any chance you're free? Whatever today is, the 23rd. Yeah. She's like, the venues really wants me to do a show, and I'm thinking about canceling. I'm like, it's the biggest going out night of the year. Yeah. It's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, it's the Wednesday before. Yeah.
It's Big Wednesday.
Yeah.
Keep the show. I'll be there.
I never even thought of that. Yeah. Yeah, that it's the biggest.
It's the biggest
night of the year that everybody goes out.
Biggest go out night of the year.
I never even thought of that.
In a college town.
Yeah. Fuck it. Let's go.
There. Yeah.
Let's go. Fuck now.
Fly.
I might go because I go out. You know. I don't know. Me at a bar might be weird.
Yeah. And you've seen the act. Yeah. I'll catch you on the next.
No, I'm just kidding. No, see you on the next one, bud.
Yeah. Heard it. Heard it.
Hey, guy, you got anything new?
Wrap it up.
Yeah, you got anything new?
What makes you different than the first batch?
That's right. He was better. Much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where can everybody find you at, man?
Chris Flail on Instagram, at Chris Flail on Instagram's the main one for me now.
I always fuck your name up.
I've made the shift. That's okay. That's it. Whatever.
It's phalange.
Fail with an L.
Flail with an L.
Fail with an L.
Fail with an L.
Fail with an L is the name of my first album. At Chris Flail on Instagram. That's probably the best one. Chris Flail Comedy on Facebook. And podcast that I will get going, if you'd be so kind to be my guest.
Love to.
The Bomb Diaries.
The Bomb Diaries.
On iTunes, Apple, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Dude, this is fucking awesome. Dude, this is so much fun.
If ever the chance, I'd love to come back.
Fuck yeah, dude. Let's do it, man. Hell yeah. Cool.
And there you have it, my conversation with stand-up comedian Chris Flail. If you guys want to give him a follow, I will put all of his social medias down below. And thank you guys again for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe, share, like, and until the next one, I'll see you guys soon.